Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick. It's Tuesday, time to talk about some new releases coming out this Friday, December 27th. I'm not gonna lie, it's a pretty light week, even lighter than this time of year typically is. It's actually a little less than 100 albums coming out this week. I got 6 on my list for today. There's a bunch of links down below. You got links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music playlist that I put together every week, and the Patreon page. So make sure to check all that out. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I release new episodes. Like I said in the intro, a little less than 100 albums coming out this week. Actually, there's so few titles coming out this week that my local record store didn't even have anything up on their board in the store. So I did find 6 to talk about. There's something I don't talk about this week that you're interested in picking up. Make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what that is. Like always, if you're unable to find these in your local brick and mortar stores, they should all be available online. I'll put links down below in the comment section. You can also always go over to the Vinyl Den store on Amazon. Pre-orders are on there. New releases are on there. All sorts of cool stuff to check out. So the first album I got on my list this week is this Elton John Step Into Christmas. This came out back in 73. This is a 12-inch single cut at 45 RPM. It's on white vinyl. It's going to run you about $33. So when this album was first released, it was released as a 7-inch single with Ho Ho Ho, Who'd Be a Turkey at Christmas as the B-side. Now both of them are good tracks, but this was reissued in 2022, I think it was. They moved it up to a 10-inch release. They added 2 additional bonus tracks on there, which I've never heard either of the bonus tracks. It was released as a 10-inch that year and also as a 12-inch 45 RPM with those same 4 tracks. So they're now reissuing that 12-inch release from 2022. I'm not a huge fan of 12-inch singles. I think if you're going to put a 12-inch single out with 4 tracks on it and charge $30+ for it, at least put a couple extra additional tracks on there. Really, I think, make it worth grabbing a copy of it. Like I said, I love the first 2 tracks that were originally released back in 73. I haven't heard the other ones, though, but maybe I'll see it's available on streaming and check out those other 2. I'm kind of excited for this next release, though. This is King's X, Live Love in London. First released back in 2010. This is a live album recorded in January of 2009 in London. It's a 3 LP release. It's going to be on orange vinyl. It's going to run you about $55. So this has never been available on vinyl until earlier this year. I think it was November, like early part of November when this got released on vinyl. It was like super limited too. I want to say it was like 500 copies. Looks like it's getting a wider release this week. So when this was first released, it was only available on, I think it was CD and DVD. This version's all newly remastered. Comes in a deluxe trifold jacket. It's got many of their best known tracks on there. $55 is not bad, I don't think, for a triple LP release, especially with 12-inch singles going for over $30. There's also the big signature edition of Saxon's The Eagleland coming out this week. This came out back in 1982. This is a 5 LP box set. It's going to run you a lot, though. It's going to run you $223 online. So what this is I think is really kind of geared towards the big Saxon fans out there. All these tracks were recorded during the Denim Leather tour. It's got a lot of their best known tracks on here. I think it's also really cool that there's so many really deeper cuts on this album also. But what you're getting in this box set, so like I said, 5 LPs on a 180 gram vinyl. You got the replica tour pass. There's a slip mat in here. There's a 40-page book. There's guitar picks with artwork for all of Saxon's albums on there. There's also a replica lyric sheet that's hand-numbered and signed by Biff Byford. I think that's why this box set is so expensive. You can get the unsigned version for a lot less than this, but like I said, that's why I said I think it's really geared towards the biggest Saxon fans out there, which I'm not a huge one. I would say that I didn't know a majority of the songs on this album, but this is a really good live album. If you want to check that one, I'll at least stream it and check it out. You've also got Sweet Isolation Boulevard coming out this week. This came out back in 2021. So this is their 15th studio album, but this is the 6th album since Andy Scott reformed the band in the early 90s. It's on translucent orange vinyl. It's going to run you about $23. So in 2019, Sweet went on the biggest tour that the band had ever gone on. And of course in 2020, the pandemic hits, everything gets shut down. And the band goes in like this isolation mode. And during their isolation from everything else in the world, pretty much like everyone else was, they decided to go back through their catalog and re-record a lot of their best tracks. And I guess I typically don't like re-recorded music, but since I wasn't familiar with most of Sweet's songs, I didn't really have an issue with this one. And if you're like me and you're unfamiliar with Sweet and most of their music, it's a good one at least to stream and check out. So I have to admit that I am not a big fan of the Velvet Underground. I never really have been. I like Loaded. I thought Loaded was an okay album, but I think a lot of the stuff they did in their career is vastly overrated. But one of the founding members, John Cale, is reissuing one of his best known albums this week. This is Slow Dazzle. Came out back in 1975. It was his fifth studio album. It's got running about $31. So John has that same, like, there's a lot of that avant-garde, like art rock kind of stuff that you expect from someone from the Velvet Underground. But what I think separates this album from anything he did before was there's also a little bit of like this poppiness also to the album, which makes it a little more accessible. The album starts off with a song called Mr. Wilson, which is a tribute to Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. And then, like, after a couple songs, it goes down this, like, darker path. If you've never listened to this album, it's definitely one worth checking out, especially if you are a fan of the Velvet Underground. I think you'll like this album. Like I said, even though it's still kind of, you can listen to this album and hear parts of Velvet Underground, but it's also different at the same time. So, it's definitely one worth checking out. And then the last album I got on my list is VanZant, Always Look Up. So this came out back on November 28th. This is the latest album from VanZant, which VanZant, if you're unfamiliar with them, so this is Donnie VanZant and Johnny VanZant. Of course, Donnie is the lead singer of 38 Special. Johnny has been fronting Lynyrd Skynyrd since the middle part of the 80s. But this is going to be on clear and black splatter vinyl. It's going to run you about $40 online. So when VanZant first started out, it was very much like it was similar to what Lynyrd Skynyrd was doing in the late 80s and early 90s. That's kind of how the sound of the band really kind of started. And then it quickly evolved to this like more country sound. But on this album, they go back to that earlier like Southern rock kind of style music. But it also has these like deep religious themes to the album. I listened to the first couple singles off of it, and I think that if you are someone that doesn't really, if you don't have an issue with the Christian side of the album or that side of the music, I think it's a good listen to. It's not my favorite album from the band. I think their earlier stuff was better than anything that they've done since then, because I was never a big country music fan, and I think some of the themes on this new album will kind of alienate people from listening to it. But if you can get past that part of it, I think it's a good one to check out also. Well, that's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you're looking forward to grabbing this week. Like I said, really short week, really light week. Starting in January, we'll go back to having the 400 and 500 releases each week. You got all the Rhino Start Your Ear Off Right stuff that's coming out in January, which I think there's 30 plus albums that are coming out in January from Rhino. I did a whole video on the channel here about all those releases, so there is some really good stuff I think that's coming up. But as far as the list this week, I might, if I can grab that King's X on sale somewhere, I might grab a copy of that. That John Cale is a good one to check out also, but we'll see what I end up grabbing this week. Like always, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button down below. That's all I got. Until next time, keep on spinning. Peace.